Let us know what you're thinking. Does the Robert Pattinson Batman exist in the Joker solo movie single, the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie? They in the same universe? Ooh, I took a cheat shot while he's there. Ooh, I'm not seeing it. I don't know. Well, let me know what you think in the comments when I post this out on YouTube. I'm actually interested to see if anyone actually thinks that that's a plausible argument. I don't think, man, I kind of would like it just because of how much I like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, but I also get why a lot of people are scared to turn that Joker into like the Joker. Yeah, I mean, your concern's right. He was, I want to say in his 40s during the movie. That or he just didn't age well, which would also make sense. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was only a kid, like 12 years old during that movie. So, I mean, to have that be the Joker for the Batman, it would certainly be a different Joker. Having a Joker in his like 60s going up against, late 20s Batman or whatever they decide to make it age-wise. Are you back in here? Were you able to join back up?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was.
Do you think the Robert Pattinson
what
one?
you guys were saying? I hope not. I think the Joker movie was a good standalone movie. Granted, I didn't see it, so I can't necessarily have too big of an opinion on this.
You didn't see it?
The reason I didn't see it is because I'm so fond of the comic book origin of Joker, and it wasn't accurate to that. And a lot of people were telling me, "Oh, you gotta go see it," and I was like, I just can't get over that fact.
Yeah.
I really do think that they're trying to get rid of who was it? Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
In the DCEU, they really are, and you can kind of tell they're done with him with how he's reacted to certain things. But I did see something a while ago that was talking about them wanting to keep the Joker separate. They wanted to allow him to develop in his own universe.
Yeah, and that actually leads to the next rumor, which I think I agree with you in that. Even though I think if you watch the movie, you'd be surprised that I think it does satisfy some true Joker fans in the end of it there. But anyway, I mean, you should check it out for just because it's an amazing movie. And I did agree with you going into it that I don't think it was a movie that should have been made. But after having seen it, I loved it. And actually speaking on that, yeah, making sure you're right. Bruce was pretty young, and Joker, I was thinking saying around like 40 years old. I think the Joker was in that time. Yeah, maybe they'll use him as an inspiration for a younger Joker. I don't really know what that is, but the bigger question is the rumor following the success of the first Joker movie. Obviously, it broke $1 billion, which is ridiculous for that movie. No one expected that, and as a result, people are having talks, and there's rumors that there will be a Joker sequel. Obviously, you didn't see the first one, but are you okay with some spoiler territory in here?
I know majority of what goes on in the Joker. I do still plan to see it eventually.
Do you know how it ends?
I definitely I heard that basically he goes nuts. It kind of like shows the craziness in Joker, and you're left kind of wondering whether majority of the movie was hallucinations, whether it wasn't. And I do think that they should make another one. They should expand on it, give people more, especially because so many people had liked the movie.
Yeah, and a big part of it people liked was that social commentary.
Oh yeah, a lot of people really they tried to modernize Joker, which I do like about that. They tried to bring it to make him a little more relatable. The old classic Joker, you couldn't relate to him nowadays. You know, he was like a guy that needed money. He would do bad things for mobsters. You don't really see mobsters nowadays. You don't see people going to that kind of length for certain things. At least not common.
Yeah.
And they really tried to play into the fact that he's crazy. He has mental breakdown.
Yeah.
He just can't control what he does.
Yeah. And honestly,
I do tend to think he'd be great with expanding on it.
What the heck? I didn't know I was gonna do that. Yeah, here's the thing: is the big issue with the sequel, and honestly, this is probably my main issue with the sequel because let me be clear: I actually think a sequel would be fun, a lot of fun. I think from a studio's perspective, why wouldn't you do one? I mean, it made $1 million or $1 billion. I mean, it's gonna make. I don't know if it's gonna make another $1 billion, but it's gonna make way in the high 100 millions. It's gonna get close to a billion, if not break it again. So why would you not do that from a studio? From a personal standpoint, the issue with it is the movie ends with you really on the side of, and again, spoiler warning, it really ends with you being like, is the movie, was he really the Joker? Was this actually stuff that happened? Did this movie actually happen, or was it all in his head? And that's how it's supposed to end. So if you do a sequel, you run the risk of answering the question. And by answering the question, you kind of take away a big story point. Really, like, your ending from the first movie is kind of devalued in a lot of ways. However, I'd argue that if you're clever about it, you can avoid that issue because you can propose the second movie in a way that says, yeah, maybe he's still in that state. Maybe this is all still in his head. And I actually think you could have a really fun trilogy with the Joker, where basically the Joker's. I think the next movie is he becomes this. He gets this following in the first movie. And I think he could use that following to really just like and I think they still should play to is this in his head or is this real? But maybe start to develop him as this like mobster where it's like, okay, now these people are just following him and they're doing whatever he tells them to do, even some things that they just think he wants them to do. They break him out of wherever he's. I think maybe he's in Arkham. They break him out of Arkham, and he just kind of was like thrusted into this power that he never really was prepared for. And now he's learning how to finally deal with being recognized, and he doesn't know how to do that. And then it could all be about him like gaining this power, but not understanding how to be responsible with it, and kind of like giving in to all of those like like maybe it is time for me to like take it back against society and not care who lives or dies as long as maybe I am doing this for some benefit of either his own or however they want to like paint him, but. Like I feel like that could be some sort of way to set up a trilogy where the second one is him like kind of getting accustomed to this power, and then the third one is him really being like overconfident in his power and having that being challenged for the first real time by like maybe another mobster or something like that, and really have him and maybe they can kind of like do small homage to like a Batman with like a young Batman, but not really like paint him as a character, like a primary character in it. Just kind of like showing that, hey, this Batman is kind of developing throughout this time as well. And maybe in some ways the Joker is his antagonist. And maybe you could even end the trilogy with a conclusion that, hey, there is a new Joker that's filling in the shoes in a more literal way. And maybe if you wanted to tie in Battinson, maybe that's how you do it, by saying, okay, this Joker, like Mako suggests, this Joker at the end of that trilogy inspired the real Joker. Maybe the real Joker, again, they'd have to go into his origin. You have to stress from not going too much into an origin, but maybe, the real Joker kind of takes up his mantle after he like dies tragically, because it would be a tragedy. Obviously, if you're going to write up a trilogy like that, where the Joker would die at the end of this trilogy. and maybe this new Joker takes up the mantle with, you know, kind of the same agenda against Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that kind of seems a little bit like the Gotham joke, the Gotham series.
Exactly.
I actually surprisingly hope they don't show Batman. I think that by not showing Batman, you're gonna keep people wondering. You're gonna keep people going, well, how are they gonna interact with each other? And I feel like if they kind of give them like little bits of hints of how they interact with each other, will kind of keep people wondering, keep back. I totally agree with them kind of inspiring another Joker. I definitely think that you could even push the lengths with like mental instability wise of Joker, especially because from what I've seen of the movie, I've seen like again tidbits, I've heard about it. It seems like this Joker just isn't like he knows his place, he knows like certain aspects, but he's just not. He doesn't own up to it. At least from what I hear until the end, he doesn't own up to it. And I would hope that they would kind of expand on him owning up to it and him being like, okay, I'm getting it, I'm going crazy. Now what can I do?
Yeah.
You know?
And actually, this an alternative that Mako's suggesting, and I've actually thought this would be really cool, is the idea that, hey, maybe the next movie explores similar to the way Heath Ledger in his says, hey, you know, this is my origin, but the next time you hear it, he's talking about a totally different origin. And so maybe an opportunity for Joaquin Phoenix to really flex his acting muscles is to do the second Joker movie, like a sequel, where it's an entirely different origin story. It's the same, in the same way that the first, they would be the only related subject of the two movies would be the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is playing the Joker. It'd have and they could change up some thematic elements to it. But it would really be just an entirely different origin story. I think that could be really cool.
Okay.
So you just do, I mean, you know, they could do a whole thing where like maybe he's just like, you know, this poor kid that, you know, gets picked up into a gang. And then next thing you know, he's doing all of these like, you know, like crazy things for this gang as like a criminal. And then he falls into some like, they could do something similar to like the Leto Joker, where like he falls into some vat or something while he's doing like trying to like plant like some bomb to like sabotage a rival gang or something. And then like he falls into this like vat of like acid or like bleach or whatever it is, and his face gets all distorted, and he, you know, suffers mental damage as a result of it. And so and it could be like some dialogue on like how some commentary on like how crime is kind of like forced into like lower income atmosphere. Like, I don't know, it's like some people feel like it's their only way out or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could do some sort of dialogue with it.
That's almost super similar to his just regular origin anyway. So, I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing that.
Well, the cool thing I think about it would be that it's still would leave you at the end of it questioning which of the two is the real origin story, or is either. And the idea is you could even do multiple after that, where it's like every time is just an entirely different Joker, and each one is Joaquin Phoenix, which begs the question, which Joker is that correct Joker? And it would never give you an answer. It'd just be kind of like wow, this is another way that the Joker could be created. You know? Just kind of like Black Mirror.
They can do like a multiverse almost. Again, you got such good Batman stories too. DC Comics, that's actually where they kind of strive. A lot of the most popular stories nowadays are all DC Comics.
Yeah, it's a
you've got like the Batman Metal storyline, which, God, if we did that, that'd be amazing.
Which one is that?
So many people would go see it. basically it tells the storylines of a Batman who ends up getting infected by a Joker virus, and he essentially think Bruce Wayne, Joker, like Batman Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes in and recruits all these different Batmen that, you know, their lives are just so screwed up. And he ends up turning them against the world. And it by far one of the best storylines I've ever seen.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. So
And they could almost do the same thing, but with the Joker. You know, you could end up having a good Joker, someone who is actually a hero. You could end up having a bad Joker, you know?
yeah, I don't know about painting
one that's
Joker in a
even worse.
heroic light.
Well, you see, that's one of the things about heroes is, again, your favorite heroes can become villains, but your favorite villains can also become heroes.
Yeah.
We've seen that, you know? You see that with, what was it?
I personally feel
Shazam, comics.
Yeah.
You see it in comic books all the time.
Yeah, I personally am. I
So-
feel like they're already doing that too much with a lot of comic properties because of how like Sony's doing it with like, which actually is going to get to the. I feel like we should probably segue to the next topic anyway. But it's kind of I feel like what they're doing with Morbius, where they're going to paint him in this very like heroic light, like they did with Venom. Where I get Venom's a common anti-hero, but I also feel like they didn't play him enough as a villain. They should have. And I feel like DC, and then like DC with Black Adam. I know the Dwayne the Rock Johnson Instagram post. They were like, hey, you know, he was like, oh, you know, with a superhero that's rivals the powers of even Superman. And, you know, he really stands up for people and does what's right, even if it's not exactly what people think is right. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're kind of missing the fact that Black Adam's a villain.
Actually, surprisingly, he's an anti-hero as well. He
Yeah.
is an anti-hero in a certain aspect. According
Yeah.
to Shazam, he's a villain, but in comic book history, he's been seen to almost be kind of like a Deadpool anti-hero, where like he obviously knows right from wrong to a certain aspect.
Yeah, which I guess is, yeah. I guess the fact like I would have rather had him show up in a Shazam movie first.
Oh, easily, yeah. They really missed the mark on that one.
Yeah. But I get it.
They should have. The problem is that what they want to do is they want to give you a background of this villain before they make him in. Because again, from the Shazam movies, you kind of don't really hear too much about him. You get like that one deleted scene about him, and that's it. That's all you get. So he's kind of unknown to a lot of younger kids that don't read the comics. They don't know who he is.
Yeah. Hey, let me get
just to have him come in.
Let me get Mako's last comments real quick, and then we're gonna jump on to a couple more topics. We got to move through a couple more a little quicker now. Well, Mako Shark was coming back to the Joker, saying, I think a key thing that writers expand on is the moral ambiguity that took place. That's true. I mean, he was lied to all of his life, treated like an outcast, and the only time somebody showed him interest in him was to take advantage of him. That's a good point. And I think the fact that they really explored that and explored some real topics of that character is pretty good. But anyway, let's move on to some